Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Azina Williams. How are you all doing? Hope you guys are good. Hope you guys are fine. If you're new to the channel, kindly click on the subscription button, click on the notification bell to let you know whenever I post any new video. Okay guys, so today's Big Brother Naija reunion show was very insightful, was very educative. Yeah, there was no drama and all that, but it was kind of soul searching, because at some point you can relate to what the therapist was telling the ex-housemates. So today they brought in a mental health expert that has been certified by the World Health Organization, and he had like a free session with some of the housemates. So in the studio we had the mental health experts. We had Oibuka, the presenter. The first set of people we had was Omashola, Venita, Jackie, Ike, and Fraud. Then later on they were joined by Ella and Tacha, and Omashola and Jackie had to leave. Okay, so this is how it started. After the introduction of the mental health expert, so Ibuka asked him about, the assessment of, because he actually watched the show from the beginning to the end. That is the Big Brother Naija reunion. Why do I keep saying reunion? Big Brother Naija show. He watched it for the whole 3 months. He said that it was like a social experiment, seeing people, 20 plus people, how they're going to react or how they're going to behave when there's a target or a goal, that kind of a thing. So Ebuka opened the floor and asked him, okay, now you saw these people, what do you think about Omashola? So he said, okay, that Omashola is very loud, and that made some people, even the viewers and even some of the ex-housemates, that they didn't like him, because of that, but the truth is he stayed true to himself. A lot of people wanted him to change, a lot of people wanted him to be who he was not, but he stayed true to himself because he has a very strong personality. That is what the therapist said about Omashola. He said he has a very strong personality, that if not, he would have changed, and that would have, like, at his age, not being able to stand on who you are and not being able to stand your ground on what you want, that would have led to a midlife crisis, and he also said Omashola never allowed other people's opinion to count, and so he now asked Omashola, now outside the house, how does that affect him? That was what he asked Omashola, and Omashola was like, okay, that a lot of things has changed. People has asked him to tone it down a bit, the whole shouting and everything, that sometimes, like, even before he opens his mouth to say something, somebody will be like, oh, take it easy, and he hasn't even put a word out, so that has been the expectations of people. Even people that know him, his family, his friends have called him, guy, you have to, like, tone it down, but it gets much better. He told the guy, he told the therapist that it's much more better now, that in the house, yes, this whole thing made him realize his mistakes, and now he needs to balance it, and he has learned to balance it. So the therapist now said he seems not to have healed from previous relationships, because we see in the house he talked about his ex-girlfriend, and at some point he even cried. Yeah, he cried about it, and he said something very profound. The therapist said something so profound. He said, if you don't heal on something, you will bleed on someone else, or if you don't heal on something, you're gonna bleed on someone else. And Ibuka even had to write it down, and the therapist asked Omashola, was that a game for you? That, you holding on to your girlfriend and all that, crying in the diary section or in the diary room, was that a game for you? And how are you now? And Omashola said right now that he's good, and no, it wasn't a game, that his girlfriend's story got to him, that at some point, there was this time that Biggie brought this book that talked about personal space, that talked about respect and everything, and he read it and it got to him, and he just wanted to cry, to someone, and that was why he let it out that day in Biggie's diary room. But right now that he is 100% okay, and Ebuka was like, okay, did the house help you to heal, or was it like outside the house? And Omashola was like, outside the house he got to heal, that now he has found it easy to let go, but the therapist was like, no, that I don't think it's over. I don't think you've really gotten over this, because even when you were talking, your non-verbal gestures shows that you are not over it. You need a period of, I think, what was the word he said? He said you need a period of catharsis. You are, all you are doing right now is to repress those feelings. You've not actually healed from it. You need to learn how to handle betrayal. That was what the therapist was telling Omashola, that he needs to learn how to handle betrayal, because it's 2 times, it was shown when people actually betrayed him. First, Ike stealing his coins, and then Fraud breaching the bro code. And Amuchella was like, this guy really watched the show. And yeah, Amuchella said, yes, the truth is, outside the house now, Fraud is the closest person to him outside the house, that he has seen Fraud for who he is. And if there's one word to describe Fraud, it would be Fraud, because Fraud has always been true to himself, who he was in the house, and always he has always been that person even outside the house. That he is cool with Fraud outside the house. That there's his Fraud has really not changed. But as for Ike, when Ebuka mentioned about the coins, that he was happy with him. When Ebuka told him on stage when he came out that it was Ike that stole his coins, that he was not even pissed, that he was actually happy, because that stealing of the coins actually helped him. It helped him. If not that Ike stole his coins, he wouldn't have gotten to the finals, because it helped him play his game better. Because initially he was like trying to figure out, would he be hot, would he be cold? But the moment Ike stole those coins, he said, okay, this is how these people want to play the game. No problem, I'm gonna play the game the way they want to play the game. And the therapist said, okay, that's a good mechanism, turning bad stuff to his driving force to become better. And Amuchella said that even in the house, there was this time in the diary session that Biggie offered to tell him who stole his coins in the diary room, but he refused the offer because he doesn't want it to spoil his game, because that would be like setting him off to start revenging and all that. So it was now Jackie's turn. Jackie spoke. She said, you can never see the free power of her if you are not close with her. She talked about her relationship being the one that kind of like defined her a lot. She talked about like being the intelligent woman. Lots of people didn't really like her. Lots of people did not understand. The intelligent girl or the smart one might not really be the most popular, and all that. She said a lot of things, and the therapist was like, what, you need to resolve what the world wants and what you want. You can't keep comparing yourself with the world. And Jackie talked about that Big Brother actually put her in comparison with other people. People are posting that sometimes she doesn't even know what to post, and in the comment section a lot of people saying some negative stuffs and all that, and it gets to her. And the therapist was like, what? Focus on yourself, focus on your craft, define your audience, and that's a big mistake she needs to resolve. Big Brother gives you an opportunity to achieve a goal. Maybe you set for like 10 years, I'm going to achieve this. And Big Brother actually gives you that leverage to be able to achieve that goal even before that time. So Jackie talked about she not liking social media, that she feels like she's supposed to be doing something more meaningful than to be posting pictures on social media. Like even before she came here, that she was looking at her gallery looking for what to post, but she knows that she just has to post, and the therapist was like, what, don't try to keep up with anybody, define your goal. Move at your own pace. Focus on you. Make sure you are relevant, yes, but don't be swallowed by social media. Focus on the good. That was when Jackie talked about the comment section, and Ebuka had to come in. Ebuka said maybe it's because he's been in this game for a very long time. He's learned to adapt. He has to ask himself, what do you want to be remembered for? That, okay, maybe in your comment section, you have 200 comments and 180 are good and 20 are bad. And Jackie was like, you've not even seen my comment section, because a lot of people say, oh, you're not beautiful. Oh, it's because of what you did that your boyfriend left you and all that. They said a lot of mean things. And Ebuka was like, okay, even if you have 200 comments and 150 are bad, focus on the 50. And she says the reason why the 50 gets too hard is because they personalize it. They be like, oh, it's because of this, that's why your man left and all that. And Ebuka was like, even the therapist now told her, what, even the good comments are also personalized. It's just that most times we tend to focus on the bad ones. Focus on the good ones, don't be concentrating on the negative, because when you concentrate on the negative stuff, it kind of magnifies it. Don't come on social media when you know you've had a bad day or when you've had an argument with somebody. Rather, when you are happy, then you can come. So before that, your battery level of happiness gets to 50, you are done and you log out. So they went on a commercial break, and then we had to talk about Ike. Now, when they went on a commercial break, that was when Sacha and Ella joined, because in my mind I was like, Sacha should be here, Ella should be here, and it's as if they knew. In my mind, they just knew that these people need healing, psychological, emotional, mental healing, and I'm grateful, because I think most of them are going to be going, to see, because it's a lot, especially with Jackie, and also Omashola and all that. Even with Ike, they have a lot of work to do, according to what the therapist said, maybe a personal one-on-one session, So it was not Ike's turn, and the therapist was like, okay, Ike came across as someone who is trying to leave his past. He has that genuineness, he has the drive to live, but there is still a hold, something that is holding him on to his past. It's just like when the Bible says, the good you want to do, but it seems like you keep doing the wrong things, and he played that in the house, and the question now, that was what the therapist said. He says the question now is, has he changed? Has Ike changed? Who is Ike now? There's this issue of subjectivity. Yeah, that's a big word. There's this issue of subjectivity that Ike has. He seems to trust other people's opinion more than he trusts himself. He has the tendencies of trusting other people. It seems like his trust in people is so high, more than the trust in himself, maybe because of the past mistakes he's made and all that, and he asked Ike, how are you able to resolve this? And Ike said, what, I feel like this is a new Ike. I force myself, to change, not, it's not about the people, but also about my inner thoughts. Sometimes, he said, sometimes in the house, he'll wake up with so much negativity and all that, but now he has learned to have thought control, focus on this positive stuff, things that are going to make him happy, and that will make his mood steady. That before he would be like high and low and high and low, but now he is focusing on the good stuff and all that. He said when he's happy, he thinks more rationally and all that. And yes, the issue of subjectability, is true. That's what Ike said. Before coming to Africa, he's made some past mistakes. He's made a lot of mistakes. And these are things that people are telling him, maybe his family, his friends are telling him, Ike, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Then he goes ahead and does it, and it comes out to bite him later, and then he starts regretting it. And that has led him to trust other people's opinion more, and the therapist was like, okay, now do you like the new you? Do you like the new Ike? And Ike was like, I like the new me, but sometimes I don't like the new me. And to me, people of God, that was deep. That was deep for me, because yes, a lot of times you're forced to make changes, but deep down you still want to do those other things you are used to doing. And the therapist was like, okay, the root cause of internal conflicts or internal stress most times, or emotional stress most times, is conflict. Trying to balance who you are and who you are, who people want you to be, what makes you happy and what makes people happy, but you must, get to that emotional maturity that you love who you are and who you have become, not because people are asking you to love it, but because this is who you want to be, and Ike talked about him asking for advice, while he already has, he already knows, because Ike talks about it, that sometimes he asks people for advice, not because necessarily he needs that advice, maybe because to let the person think that they are close to him, or to make the person feel better. And the therapist said that is a defense mechanism, and if it's working for him, then fine. Ebuka now asked him, do you feel like there's a battle between you trusting too much and you not trusting people at all? And Ike was like, he has resolved that by keeping a very small circle, because at some point he let somebody into his inner circle or into his space business wise, and those people that person broke his trust. And when he reacted, that person was like, oh, that's not the way to treat a friend and all that. But he was like, no, it's not as if you're my friend, you're not my friend, and it's just business. And the therapist was like, you know what, you are trying to be better, but there are people that actually relate with your past. Because back in the house, Ike will move people's coins, and people were hailing him on Twitter, hailing him on Instagram, and saying, oh, that guy, he and Mercy are like Bonnie and Clyde. And a lot of people relate with that. They like him doing all those bad stuff, bad guy thing. And now him trying to be this good guy, is kind of like a conflict, and that's where Ike has to, draw a balance. So they came back again, and it was now Venita. Yeah. So Ebuka introduced Venita to the therapist and said Venita is one person that was fighting both the big brother fight of getting the money and also going through a divorce and all that. And the therapist was like, you know what, when he saw Venita, he was like, and he heard that she was going through a divorce, or she said she was going through a divorce, he did not believe it, because she came in with so much positive energy, with so much positive vibe, and she was so strong in the first week that it was so hard for people to believe that she actually went through a divorce. And he had to consult with a female, and a lot of women told him, that's the therapist, that no woman will come out and say that on national TV or international TV, so to speak, without it being true, and Venita, according to the therapist, has found a good way to turn emotional weakness to positivity, having come from a situation that she has, and having been able to turn it around. And then the therapist asked her, how do you assess yourself? How do you resolve this whole loss? Because going through a divorce obviously is loss, and having how do you move on? That's what the therapist asked her. And Venita was like, yes, I've moved on. I don't like worrying about things I don't have control over. Back in the house, when I came into the house, the case was already in court. Yes, in her marriage, she said that she wasn't happy where she was. She tried to find out why she wasn't happy, why she was alive. Now she's responsible, for other human beings, which are her children. At some point, she said she allowed herself to fall apart. She allowed herself to feel the pain. Big brother did so much good to her, and now she is much happier, and she has a healthy relationship with her ex-husband, that they both comment on each other's picture, they both like each other's pictures. Sometimes she even goes to play PS, that's PlayStation, with him and all that. And Ebuka was like, okay, did the house have, like, the Big Brother house have anything to do with this? And she was like, the house had nothing to do with it. Being a new mom, it's so easy to lose your identity. And people of God, mommies in the house, you people know it's true. It's so easy to lose your identity, living for that child and forgetting your own goals as a human being. And for her, being somebody that has always been in front of the screens, and now being somebody that practically was doing nothing, that was like a very big switch, and a very sudden switch for her. And it was so much, and at some point she wasn't happy, she wasn't working, she stayed like that for like 6-7 years. She needed to find herself, and it wasn't easy, but she said she was so determined. And the therapist said, did you at any time after coming out of the house, did you at any time feel low? And Venita said yes, but it wasn't the external stuff. That in the house she kind of forgot what the real, being in a marriage, at some point she kind of forgot what the real world was like. And in the house she was so open to people. She let a lot of people into her personal space, trusting them and all that. And when she came out, she felt betrayed. A lot of housemates, coming out of the house, they now know the real her, and they now know that if you want her trust, you've got to earn it. And that was where it ended. And Tasha said something. She said she applauds Venita, her courage, and Venita is going to be like a source of strength to other women that are going through so many stuff in their marriages and cannot come out because of maybe they're thinking, oh, what is the world going to say, what is the society going to say, what are people going to say, what are they going to think of me and all that. But because Venita, as a celebrity, as a known person, has come out to say this, to share her story, that will give a lot of people strength. And that is what Tasha said. So tomorrow, people of God, I think they are going to be talking about Tasha. I think she said something about maxing a lot of emotions inside. That will be another interesting episode to watch. I think the ending of this reunion has become less of an entertainment but more of an educative one. So I look forward to that. I really wanted them to see a therapist, and thank God they brought a therapist. The guy is good. He actually had so much time watching the show. So guys, that's basically what happened today. Today was more like me taking an exam. I had to pay close attention, less laughing, more writing, just to bring the best content to you guys. Thank you so much, guys, for being part of my channel. Thank you so much for staying with me. If you're new to this channel, you know what to do. Kindly click on the subscription button, click on the notification bell to let you know whenever I post any new video. Till I come your way again, I remain your girl, Azina Williams. Have yourselves a beautiful night rest. Bye, guys.